theorizing that one could time travel within his own lifetime, Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and vanished. He woke to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own and driven by an unknown force to change history for the better. His only guide on this journey is Al, an observer from his own time, who appears in the form of a hologram that only Sam can see and hear. And so Dr. Beckett finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping that each time his next leap will be the leap home. I'm not reviewing Spock's Brain episode. This is a quantum leap episode of Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. No, Spock's Brain, that's not our jam. We're gonna skip this one, Captain.
No,
what's the point of giving zeros when we both are gonna say zero?
Well, that's quite an opening. Like I said, oh boy, welcome to Yelling
Nice.
at Gaseous Anomalies, everybody. I am your host, Captain Matt Ross, along with my co-host, XO, Mike Pontone. How are we doing tonight, Michael?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a cold opening. Matt did not know I was going to do that, and he came right at it with the oh boy. I'm impressed, Captain. Captain, I'm doing well. XO to my Captain Matt Ross, ready to carry out his orders to a T, even if I personally disagree with him. I will not ever show doubt in front of the crew. Let's do this. We're here for Spock's Brain. We are reviewing it. That was all a joke. Quantum Leap is a great thing when we're in our 80s. We'll get to that. But right now, we're doing Spock's Brain.
Brain and brain. What is brain?
Spock's Brain, the infamous Spock's Brain, as I said in our short.
Which,
but
can I just say, wait, let me just say,
go ahead.
Infamous, I'm a little demonstrating the end here. This is by far not the worst episode of Star Trek we've seen.
No. There is one episode this season which I consider the absolute worst of the original series. I put it in some of the worst of the absolute Trek. We got a ways to get there. What's interesting, this is season 3. You can read all about it on the internet, about the mail-in writing campaign to save Star Trek by B. Joe Trimble. Over 115,000 letters came into NBC, and there were protests and everything. Not run by Gene Roddenberry, but somewhat sort of funded by him. Shh, don't tell. There was a whole bunch of attempts to get Star Trek on the air. It was well rated. Everyone liked it. And they're saying, what's wrong with you, NBC? Why do you keep putting it in these weird hours? You make money. It makes its bank. Why are you cutting it down? They just didn't know what to do. Sounds like modern Star Trek today. Mm-hmm. What had actually happened is eventually it came out that NBC just hated Gene Roddenberry.
Well, he was a prick, right?
Well, he just wanted things his way consistently. And there were issues with studio trying to assert control. But when it came right down to it, and yes, this is the sped-up version of the history, the NBC originally promised Gene Roddenberry Tuesdays at 8:30 for its show, and then they moved it back to Friday. But this other show came on called Laugh-In, which is a very popular 60s TV show having many stars, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, and they gave it Star Trek's time slot, which was 8:30 or 9:30, and they gave Star Trek Friday nights at 10 o'clock, the death slot, as it's called.
But stupid.
So the kids who wanted to see it couldn't stay up late, and other people would either be out. And since there's no VCRs at the time, or DVD players, or DVRs, or ways to record it, if you missed it, and you had to wait till summer reruns. So they basically were in the death.
Sorry.
Yeah,
that.
Exactly. Exactly. They were basically in the death slot. So Gene Roddenberry said, it's either you put us back at the regular time slot, or I'm out. Now, NBC said, well, good luck to you. What's interesting is another thing is that Rowan and Martin said, you either put us at the 9 o'clock slot or we're out. And since they were making several $1,000s more, and just so, NBC kept it with the money, and they said, we'll put Laugh-In there as opposed to Star Trek. So that's where it was. And Gene Roddenberry essentially resigned, and we have a new producer, Fred Freiberger, who's usually considered the albatross on Star Trek because season 3 is considered the worst season.
Interesting.
Also, who left? Gene Kuhn is gone. DC Fontana is gone. And this is the last episode of Mark Daniels as director. There's a lot of people leaving, and Fred Freiberger did not have experience running a show like Star Trek. He did silly shows, and his focus was entertainment, whereas Roddenberry and crew were more interested on having somewhat science realism.
Okay, Captain.
And so that's why you'll see it.
Stop your monologue, please.
I'm just giving you a background,
okay,
Chief.
I have questions.
Now you know it's season 3. Go ahead.
So,
Spock's brain.
At this time in broadcast history, 1968, there were, 3 channels? ABC, NBC, and CBS?
Yes. Essentially. And, public broadcasting, PBS.
Did they, were there reruns? Like,
yes.
How were people rewatching these things? They would just check the TV guide or the newspaper, and they'd be like, "Oh, season 1 is being aired on Saturday at 10 a.m."
Yeah, that's exactly correct. What would happen is the TV shows would pick the TV shows in coordination with the studios would pick what shows would come out on reruns. So not everything was rerun, and usually that was during the summer months before the fall. You would have to wait 8 weeks before you saw like a part 2, which is why the best of both worlds in TNG was frustrating for me because that's the way we used to do it in the old days. You would just wait and find out when they were rebroadcasting, or you'd have to wait until the fall premieres in September. And that's how they would do it. So people were missing out, and they were a little annoyed, but what are you going to do? There's no way to record it at this time. So that's what happened.
So, okay.
But here we are, though.
I got so many
Go ahead.
questions. And
let me just introduce you what it is. Spock's Brain is written by a man named Lee Cronin. That's actually a pseudonym for Gene L. Kuhn, by the way. And it was directed by Mark Daniels. This is his last script. You want me to read you the press release, or do you want to go into the details?
Read the press release, and then I'm going to ask my captain to do me a little favor or a boon if he can. But go on.
All right. It says, a beautiful woman's ghostly image startles the officers and crew on the bridge of the USS Enterprise, but its disappearance brings the discovery that Mr. Spock's brain has been removed with surgical perfection. In the premiere episode of Star Trek beginning its 3rd season of Colorcast on NBC's television network, Friday, September 20th.
Okay.
How's that?
Pretty good. Now, Captain, my boon, please, if possible.
Go.
I watched this episode twice. I don't know why is all this happening? That's my only question. Why? What was the inciting incident that led the whatchamacallits? The Green Lady, the Sigma Draconis natives to steal his brain? Like, wouldn't there have to be some master intelligence before Spock's brain?
Yes, it was the prior brain that was in there that was dying, and it directed their leader to take the brain implant device and go find for a smarter brain. There's a lot of holes in this story like that, what you just pointed out. Also, the knowledge only lasts a couple hours, so they would have to be hunting for a starship really close, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how long has this old brain been gone for?
Yeah, among other things. It's really weird. Although I do like the concept in the very beginning, before we get that brain stealing thing. We see the Enterprise closing in on a alien ship. On the remastered version, I actually like the way the remastered ship looks. On the original, it just looks like a regular rocket ship coming towards them. But I like the fact that even Scotty's amazed that it's running on ion power.
I've never seen anything like it. And ion propulsion at that. They could teach us a thing or two.
Ion power is actually in real life, too. But, I like that opening where they see this weird thing. We have all of our regular cast. Scotty, we got Uhura, we got Chekhov and Sulu and Spock.
Okay.
Watching this thing come to them.
This led to my other nerdy question. I mean, I got a lot to say about this episode, but okay. here's my general thing, and as the more superior nerd, perhaps you can shed some light on it. Well, you're more entrenched in the lore, and I love lore, but I mean, I've just not seen enough of it.
I'm more of a data man.
Oh,
Okay,
God,
go
I
ahead.
saw that coming a mile away.
Very funny.
Buzzing.
Okay. So, how smart is Spock? And conversely, are all Vulcans as smart as Spock?
Yep. They're all super geniuses. He's extra, though. He's extra smart by pushing himself harder to deal with the fact that he's half human and always trying to prove himself. So he's extra genius level. So he's very smart.
So, okay. So he's like Data level, though, because he's like in Voyage Home, he calculates, billions of variables, right?
For time travel.
For time travel, like genius level, computer level stuff. So, but Data must be smarter than him. But like, is Spock smarter than most Vulcans?
It never is really said. It's always said that Vulcans are all very, very smart. They're all genius all the way through. So it's not there's not like a walking around with an IQ test all over the place.
Fair enough. And
But
there was that scene.
Why do you ask?
No, because I'm like, okay, I don't know. I was thinking about his brain and like, would have been any Vulcan that they could have gone to and accomplished this, and they would have been a suitable person for the people to kidnap the brain of. No, that was it. I was just going down a little rabbit hole.
No, but how would they find a Vulcan? The ship would a starship with a Vulcan on it would have had to have been nearby, and that's not even close to this. The Enterprise is just doing its normal. Well, let's go check out this area over here, and they see a ship heading towards them. So it's not even doesn't even really make sense in that regard. It's another hole right there for it. But what do you? It's an adventure. They happen to see it. Maybe the intelligence on the planet that the Sigma Draconis is there notices the starship in a distance. But a lot of the things that are a little ridiculous, like why are the women all like extra attractive and so forth, wearing extra short clothing and etc.
Well,
It's not just that. Fred Freiberger actually wanted to do something like that, and also Gene Roddenberry. And also, Robert Justman said, yeah, let's make them extra hot. That was literally one of the things that they wanted to do, which then came into other problems when you get to the actual planet. But that opening at first, where the woman just comes across the ship and knocks everyone out, I thought that was kind of cool. It was an interesting way, and she just passes over Kirk's body and then touches Spock's head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, was she touching his paw? I don't know. It was that's a DS9 reference for everyone out there. But it's a nice cold open. You have no idea what's going on, and then we get to the rest of it. And I think my favorite part is just in that opening sequence when they come back from the titles, where he gets a call from sickbay after everyone's knocked out and all power is knocked out, and then comes back on. McCoy's like, you got to get down here, Jim. That scene with the McCoy, I'm surprised they didn't burst out in laughing when they say the line about what, tell me what's wrong, doctor. It's his brain. It's gone. I mean,
It was worse than dead. What do you mean? Jim. Come on, Bones, what's the mystery? His brain is gone.
Man, they're hitting it like they're keeping their composure. These guys are a bunch of pros, and now
yes.
right, that they all came from theater. They're all happy to be working. They've been with each other for a while. They're used to the technobabble. There's not a lick of ego or hesitation. I'm incredibly impressed by the cast. LTDR here, right? No, TLDR here. The fact is this: the first half of this episode, I think, is pretty good. I'm not turned off by the cheesiness or the chintziness of Spock's brain. In fact, I'm gonna go one further and be like, I actually think that it's a really cool image of his body being alive and kind of mobile and having no brain. Talk about echoes of future Trek. You see that a lot, right? You see that in oh come on, that Vorta in in the Magnificent
Oh yeah.
Ferengi when
Yeah.
he's dead and they're puppeting him around. Like
Yes. They're moving him around. I forget the board's name, but yeah, that's like Weekend at Bernie's. That's
yeah,
what you could also take a look
yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
before Weekend at Bernie's. But I will tell you that like the reason why this came out is that organ swapping was a hot topic in that year.
What?
Seriously, there was a first heart transplant happened in
Oh.
December of '67. That patient died, by the way.
Well,
But the new things were tried, but this was just ridiculous. It was an interesting idea. Nimoy was complaining, by the way. It was also one of the reasons why they slowed down from season 2 to 3. He wanted more money and more dialogue, and he said Spock does too much of X and too much of Y. They were afraid that Spock would be upset because he didn't get to show more of a range of his character, which I'm like, you already know he's a logical, unemotional person on the screen. I'm not too sure much more range, but I guess, more stories and so forth. And the writers were concerned that Nimoy would complain about this. And I can see it. He did.
Yes. What? Why? Why? There are 22 episodes per season.
26.
26. What's the deal?
Yeah, he just wanted more, I guess, but it was, he felt like his character was boring. But I thought, you know what? For this, where he has to walk around and be totally dead in a sense, like no emotion, where he's robot Spock, that's pretty cool. But the idea of they have to find his brain in like 48 hours or 24 hours, otherwise, because I don't know how long his body will last, McCoy says, but you got to find it in 24 hours. Oh, so you do know. So there's a lot of contradictions in here.
Oh,
It was only rewritten.
Okay, so Captain, right? Here's the thing, Guru. Tell me what's going on here. What happened behind the scenes where they had this yes end until there were 50 pages and they were like, and it's over?
Well, first of all, Gene Kuhn rewrote it 5 times, but then Fred
What?
Freiberger.
This was rewritten?
Yeah.
This wasn't a
Fred
stream of
Freiberger-
conscious?
Yeah, close enough. Freiberger put it in. Then Freiberger's like a line script polisher, Arthur Singer, put in stuff in there. But what also is happening in there is everyone is trying to still use Roddenberry, who's still kind of there, and Roddenberry's making suggestions. Robert Justin's making suggestions. And believe it or not, Gene Kuhn is making suggestions, all from the sidelines to Fred Freiberger. And since it's his first episode, he's like, all right, we'll try everything. And so he's doing everything for the first time. And since Wild Wild West is wacky, that's where he came from, where he was the line producer on that. This has a very wacky feel to it all the way through. And here's
it's not
here's
wacky.
something that's really
it's just
bizarre.
bad.
Well, wait a minute. Here's something that's even stranger. So this is the premiere episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the season. It's the 6th episode filmed. And that's what's really ridiculous. In fact, the upcoming episode that's next, the Enterprise incident, is actually the first episode filmed. And then you tell me why they made this the first episode when you see it next week. The Enterprise incident is superior to this. This is really just crazy that they use this as the premiere episode. There are 5 other stories which I would argue are substantially better than this. But anyway, so what did you think of their search for Spock and his brain? What did you think of that, how they tried to figure out where it was going? You have any comments on that, or?
How are you going to find it? I'll find it.
No.
Fine, classic Trek. I liked the idea of a chase. It just, they get to the payoff. Okay, the second act. Oh boy. Okay, come on, Captain. Let's rewrite this. Okay. So.
Oh wait, I want to point out. Can I point out the one thing that drives me crazy here in this second act here?
What?
It's absolutely crazy. They narrow it down to 3 planets. They got one that's in the 14th century, one that's like in the early 21st century, and one that's dead with like regular pulsed energy signals. That's what a horror says, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I actually like that scene quite a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You see them all standing in front of the view screen.
Yes.
But why would Chekhov? Yeah,
stellar tarkography? What is it? Come on.
yeah, stellar cartography.
Thank
Why
you.
would Chekhov suggest the planet for the 14th century as the place? Has the most population, but it's 14th century technology. What the hell's wrong with you? That's what I was expecting Kirk to say. Like, why the hell would I pick the 14th century planet, Chekhov?
What you talking about, Willis?
What's wrong with you, man? It's a little crazy.
Well,
So
he was having an off day, maybe. Who knows?
I guess so. But that's also part of the way to make Chekhov more of a regular because he got a lot of fan mail, so they were building in more lines. But that line is stupid. Anyway, how would you rewrite this?
Okay. So, inciting incident, Spock has no brain, right? Then,
Yes.
check this out. They hook up Spock's body to the computer of the Enterprise, and they're like, okay, Vulcans actually have neurons throughout their entire body. So even though his brain is gone, he still has some, echoes, some rudimentary thought. So Spock is kind of coaching them as to which planet there is. Because say there are actually, 10,563 potential planets that this could have come from, right? So the first third is actually just trying to find the place. Then they figure it out. Then the second third it's actually a super technologically advanced society, and they are welcome there, and they're saying like, yes, we've taken your friend's brain, it's all for the greater good. And then in the third act, it's revealed, this super technologically advanced society is so advanced that only the most powerful computers can run it. And that we found that nothing compares to the best brains of the galaxy. One of ours just died in the last, year, so we were forced to go ahead and search for a new one. And then it's the same plot, the same end of the third act. But all this like stupid, like givers of pain and pleasure. What is brain? Pointless, idiot. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't go anywhere. That's why I'm like, no way, Captain, were there five drafts of this? What's the point?
Yes,
What's the point of
Coon.
What is the point of any of this second act?
No. I mean, well, they're looking for it, but getting to the planet, the idea that Kirk plays a hunch going, well, regular power generation, I think I'd probably pick that one too, because the 14th century planet, well, that's stupid. The 21st century planet doesn't have the same level of tech, even though they're being scanned, but getting there. But I know what you're talking about. They get there with the cavemen who all speak English. Fred Freiberger, by the way, made sure they did not take down the universal translator that they used with the sexy cloud. It would have made more sense if they wanted to understand the aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were all too hairy, scary type of things. I don't know. It was a little weird with the giant men creatures on the top and the givers of pleasure or pain and delight. That's kind of true anyway in real life.
Okay, there.
Who are the others?
Givers of pain and delight.
But again,
Come
why?
on, but,
why? Like, why? For what reason? Why does any of this happen? You've got a good beginning and a good ending. I actually really like the ending. But no. Oh, I like the here's the ending, right? Again, broad strokes. Here's the ending. McCoy submitting himself to a greater intelligence to save his friend, losing it, and then relying on his friend to help himself. Right? It reminded me of a great scene from. Do you ever watch Master and Commander?
Yes, it's my favorite Star Trek movie. That's not a Star Trek movie.
Right, the first officer and the captain. Yeah, like
yes.
I really liked
doctor and the captain.
Right.
Yes,
right.
Mm-hmm.
I liked when the doctor is shot and he has to guide his own surgery. It's like, did they just copy this? Like, amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Maybe we should watch that also as a special. I have that on DVD. It's one of my favorite films, Master and Commander. It doesn't match the book, but it's close enough.
Yeah, well,
Here's
know
a spoiler for the book.
It's the Americans who are the villains, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Americans. For some reason, they didn't think that would sell well for an American film audience. Go figure.
No, it was such a good decision. It would have robbed us of like the emotional impact if it was Americans instead of the French. And also,
And a lot of people hate the French.
Well, not only that, I mean, it was actually historically accurate. The French privateers, it was it was just not what the book was, but it was not cheating the audience in any way. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, don't tell my parents. Even though I'm 40, I should probably come out with that. The only tattoos I have on my body are indeed nautical tattoos. Hold fast on my calves, which were mildly inspired by the film.
And so far, you haven't had any brain damage requiring a surgeon to sew a coin into your skull, so you're all set.
Not quite. And Captain, what are your tattoos?
I don't have any tattoos, believe it or not.
Good Jewish
I don't
boy.
even have temporary tattoos. It's not just that. I also don't do scrimshaw either. I just never found tattoos necessary, and I've seen so many tattoos get flabby and turn icky. So that's just not for me.
Fair.
So there you go. But I agree with you. The first half is pretty good. Then we get to the planet. This is actually also the first time you see them say, turn your suit temperatures to 72 degrees. I thought that was kind of neat.
Pretty smart.
That's the only time they ever do that. But when you meet the cave people and they speak English, it's a lost opportunity to have used that wand thing for the universal translator. So you just have to hand wave that away. It's a minor thing. But it's so bizarre where you have the trap and they go over there. I do like that when they find the trap where they have to get the men to crawl in there. It was you could see the visible dismay of Chekhov when he says, "Chekhov, you stay here with the security guards," and he goes, "Aye, sir." And you're like wondering, great, we're going to be set up to die as they go into that elevator. Did you like the remote control Spock as he appeared with that little
I love that. I loved everything
TV
except
remote?
Yes, I loved everything except
cool.
the planet and the people. So stupid.
Well, there was one of the questions, like some of the reviewers saying, like, so you mean to tell us that the hot, lithe, sexy women capture the men, use them for breeding, and then send them back into the wild? Well, not all of them. It just doesn't make sense at that point. So the basic to give away, since we're just discussing this, and you should have all seen this already, is the giveaway is that there's a schism between the men and the women from above and below. It's almost in a way like the Time Machine, the Morlocks and the Eloi.
Oh, I was thinking that. Exactly, yes.
Yeah, the Morlocks are the women in a sense, where they're down below with the machines keeping them in comfort, I guess. And the men are on top freezing to death because some reason. It's not really clear why this split happened anyway. Why wouldn't you have like an even split or a different type of split? It makes no sense.
Say it out loud.
Why would you?
Half-baked. Stop
Half-baked.
writing.
It was. Well, no, they wrote it. I just think they were all over the place. I mean, you get down to that meeting room once you capture that. That's the other thing. One of the things we're saying. Are we saying that women are stupid at one point?
Now, those women could never have set up anything as complex as this has to be. Why, that takes engineering genius. But there's no sign of engineering genius in any of those women.
As like, so you mean without computer guidance, they won't know what to do? But their brains atrophy. And I think that if we keep using our cell phones and relying on AI, maybe that will happen to us as well.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Mental faculties down here seem to be almost atrophied because of non-use.
Because things with stuff, I don't know. No, but seriously, it was that conference room scene with their hand pantomiming where Luna, like the girl in the yellow, like say, "Oh, he shot me with a gun," and then she pretends to faint. That always drives me nuts. You know what I'm talking about? In that meeting room when they first get there? Or did you block that out of your head?
I missed that one. Captain, I'm going to have a little dark confession here. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. Remember, Captain has been watching these on repeat since he was a wee lad. I am watching them new for the first time. The bad episodes, like any bad media, my brain starts to drift a little bit. I might wander to my
Your what?
My brain. Yes.
Brain and brain. What is brain?
Brain and
What is
brain?
brain?
What is brain? So you remember that.
Well, who could forget that?
Some of the worst dialogue.
Yeah.
So you're saying you faded out. Well, just to speed this along, because this is just not a great episode, So it's here's some exciting things. James Doohan's hair has changed. How about that? That's the way he normally wears it. Is that exciting where he combs it back?
Thrilling.
But oh yeah. So let's just talk. We have Marge Doucet. That's Kara, the brain thief.
Hey, Kara.
She was yeah, exactly.
Shout out.
Hey, Kara. I didn't know you stole brains. And then you have, let's see, Sheila Layton. That's the one pantomiming the gun. You have a whole bunch of other people, like the guy fighting Kirk wearing those pain belts. That was actually his henchman from Mirror Mirror. So I think that's pretty good. That's cool. Yeah, that's Peter Kellett. You also had on the bridge all your usual backup actors: Bill Blackburn, Frank Da Vinci, Roger Holloway, and Eddie Paskey, and Jennifer Malone. That's Lieutenant Hadley, Brent, Lemley, Leslie, and the yeoman, unnamed yeoman. Those 5 people are always in the background, so they were there. This is really also something. I'll just tell you where the money comes in. Roddenberry wanted to somehow end this where Spock gets the IDIC symbol because Roddenberry was launching his Lincoln Enterprises mail order system to sell Star Trek merchandise. So that IDIC symbol, which you'll soon see coming up, he wanted to push that in there to make money, but they just didn't have the time.
How do you spell that?
Do you know the IDIC?
No.
IDIC. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Available from Lincoln Enterprises. Yes, that's where I worked for Majel. So that is a big seller, too.
It's a Vulcan philosophy and central concept of the franchise, representing the belief that the universe's vast array of elements, when combined, create beauty, growth, and progress. Man, this is what I always loved about the Vulcans, that they embrace logic, but ultimately they are a very optimistic culture. They do believe in, I think, the central concepts of humanitarianism and life and existence and procreation and everything. Like, they're not, it's fascinating because like the way that they act and their kind of central message for going out into the universe, the Vulcan and the Borg are super similar, except that one is about death and constriction and the other is about life and expansion. Anyway, I never knew that about the IDIC. When is that introduced?
That's actually introduced in the episode "Is There No Truth or in Beauty," which is coming up, but they wanted to squeeze it in here. Well, Roddenberry wanted to squeeze it in to squeeze the last dollar out of this stuff. So that I think is actually pretty humorous in there. But anyway, we could really just jump really quickly ahead. Spock is able to transmit where he is. I like what he's saying over the communicator.
Fascinating. Activity without end, but with no volition. Spock, is that you?
But here's a question. How does the brain talk since it has no mouth? It has no mouth and cannot scream.
I mean, I figured that there was just some sort of I know this sounds ridiculous that my brain went here, but in retrospect I realized, do you know what a theremin is, Captain?
Yes, that's the thing that they use sort of to the start of the Star Trek theme song.
I figured that it was a theremin, like brain waves intersecting with a field of electrons.
All right. That sounds good.
I thought about it more than the writers did.
I think you sure did. The pain belts, by the way, that they're all wearing.
Yeah.
Originally, they were DC Fontana said, it's kind of like the pain belts from the Gamesters of Triskelion, the neck collars. And they said, but they're belts. You see, they're different. Anyway, big deal.
Yeah, huge.
They get to the final after they beat up the guards. They get to the area where the controller is, which is Spock in a black box with metal or like light rays coming out of it through tubes.
Spock, you're in a black box tied in with light rays into a complex control panel.
Fascinating.
And that's where pain comes into effect, but the remote control is very detailed. We find out from Spock telling him that if you hit a red button on an armband, it releases the pain belts. And Kirk is able to manipulate this remote control to make Spock move his fingers with very fine points, and they escape, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
It's very this entire weird ending where they throw the leader, Kara, into the thinking machine to say, hey, learn what we had to do. And then she goes from, I don't know what I'm doing, to, gentlemen, let me tell you what our story. That entire bit, it makes her smart to tell them I will not give up the controller, and I now know how to use a phaser.
Gentlemen, the controller's explanation of the functioning of the teacher is essentially correct.
But Scotty pretending to faint easily distracts her. I don't know.
Well,
That's
someone can
dumb.
have, street smarts, but not common sense.
Book smarts? I guess so. Oh, wait, just going back to the conference room, why was Kirk saying, "Oh, great leader," after insulting everyone there?
I don't
guess
know.
that's-
He had the schnapps. What did Canadians drink?
Yeah,
Molson?
they Labatt's Blue, eh?
Sure.
It's just. Well, anyway, so they can't put back Spock's brain without some advanced medical knowledge, and then McCoy does the teacher, which is the device they use, the salad bowl with the light rays going into his head.
A child could do it.
I
And
actually
suddenly
like that
he
a lot.
knows how to repair it.
I thought that was
I
really
do
cool.
like it. I like the concept of that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
And then they could do
A
it.
little bit reminded me of I don't know, for some reason Barkley when he becomes the nth degree.
Oh, the spider. Yes.
And-
Yes.
Yeah, and he has that, like, he makes that cool throne in the holodeck to interface with his brain with the Enterprise. I thought that was pretty sweet. But yeah, I mean, okay, I like that. Again, there were little snippets of this episode that I liked a lot, but the execution was so wrong and weird,
Awkward. Yeah.
awkward,
Yeah.
and just such an awkward middle act.
Yeah. Then you get to our final bit where McCoy actually puts Spock's brain in, and as Scotty says, look how fast he's going. Like, oh, I can put it together like a child. And then he begins to lose the knowledge because I guess it's taking longer than 2.5 hours. So he's beginning to slow down. And then he connects Spock's vocal cords, and Spock and McCoy restore Spock. DeForest Research had a problem like this because after Spock is restored, Spock just sits up. His head is perfectly fine. There's not even a swivel mark, unlike where McCoy cuts his brain open or cuts his head open. So maybe you could say it was like advanced tech, so it doesn't, no marks. But it's just like DeForest said, like, you really think he would jump up right away after having his brain put back in?
Well, whatever. That didn't bother me.
There was actually an extra scene over here where Spock starts to smile, and McCoy says, "Wow, I can't believe you smiled." And McCoy says that to Spock, and Spock says, "Well, I was trying to sneeze, so it shows you're great." I don't know if that would have added anything to this.
While I might trust the doctor to remove a splinter or lance a boil, I do not believe he has the knowledge to restore a brain.
Thank you.
But that really brings us to the end where basically Kirk says, listen, you just got to give up all your technology and move to the surface and live with the other people. That's just the way it is. And, we'll help you out, but we're going to shut this place down. You have to give up everything you know. All right? Great. Thanks.
They will not help us without the pain.
There are other ways. You'll discover them. You must move to the surface, you understand?
We will die above in the cold.
No, you won't. You'll learn to build houses, to keep warm, to work. We'll help you for a while.
There's that prime directive not working. I'll tell you
Not
that
quite,
much.
Yeah, but then again, these people were fucking up the Prime Directive. They were going out kidnapping people's brains. I think that they.
yeah.
I'm not going to say that they were entitled to much protection.
Yeah. Here's a question, though. Did you think the Federation came in? Because let's use this brain device and copy down as much information as possible.
I don't know.
You know?
Is it more powerful than their own computers?
Who knows? It's a little crazy. The special effects, John Dwyer, the special effects guy, by the way, used the top of coffee cups in several scenes against the wall.
Oh.
So while they're standing by the controller, so he was known as the greatest science fiction dumpster diver in the business.
Yeah.
He would basically, because their budget got cuts.
Hey.
But anyway.
Best engineer is the lazy one.
Yeah, it's necessity is the mother of invention. So they escape. They save Spock. We have our ending scene where basically McCoy insults Spock again, and all is right with the world.
Sure.
And that's the end of it. Ha ha ha! Warp Factor 3. But how much do you think this costs? Since I'm just going to go to it before we
get the hell out of here.
How much do you think?
Okay.
Remember, the budget's gone down.
Oh, the budget. Well, that was what I was going to ask. What are these like? Third season. Obviously, there was interest. Did everyone get a pay bump, or is it just staying stagnant?
Yes. No, everyone got a pay bump.
And is that factored into the budget? It is.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And here, I'll tell you this: the special effects guy I was just talking about, he said you had a budget of $5,000, and then you had to pay everyone, leaving $500 left. Tells you how it's kind of crazy. But how much do you think this is? This is your first guess for season 3 in 1968.
Pretty good cast of characters, not bad special effects, cool costumes, and everyone's getting paid. $199,000.
Oh, so close. It's $174,686.
Get the hell out of what? How?
Well, they really cut down on the special effects. They used everything's on a set. They're on the Enterprise. They're on their regular planet. Even the planet underneath the ground is essentially like a redressing of other underground cities, like, with the triangular doors and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, well, let me tell you what that is at $2025. That's $1,681,300.45. So, yeah, there you go. But anyway, I guess we should come down and tell you what we think about this. But I do want to just get to the one last thing. This is not well liked. I know you know that. Yeah. It's not well liked. A lot of people thought this was actually kind of terrible. I honestly don't think it's that terrible. I got to tell you that. But
far from the worst. What was that weird thing with the doppelgangers from the different dimensions at the end of season 1?
Oh, yes. Alternative Factor is I would argue
that was worse.
Probably worse in a lot of ways, but that I also do not consider the worst episode of Star Trek. My favorite thing on this, I actually marked a quote in our book, is that Jimmy Doohan said that this was a chancy episode. I just want to, he goes, I saw the potential of something here. You see, we now look at this and say, how did they take his brain out and put it back without mussing up his hair? But you can make an argument that McCoy is not cutting into Spock's skull. He's manipulating things using medical technology we cannot comprehend. Regardless, the execution suffers, and that was typical of the third year. We didn't have Gene Roddenberry and Gene Kuhn and Dorothy Fontana staying with those scripts and making sure they made sense. Mm-hmm. Or making sure that everything the characters said or did was in character. Star Trek required great writing and extra care. Most television is not that challenging as Star Trek was.
That's true.
And that's pretty much about it. Yeah, and Jimmy Doohan did not like Fred Freiberger basically calling him, he's just a line director. They bumped him up into this position. He can't handle this. Fred Freiberger considered this his biggest failure on Star Trek. The moniker of like the death of second and third series followed him around because he also did Space 1999 second season and other things. And a lot of times these series went off the air after he was put in charge. So he was considered the bad luck charm. Yeah. One other person, Doug Drexler, who's the special effects guru for Battlestar Galactica and some other things called Star Trek First Contact, the motion picture, things like that. Caprica. He was a teenager when this came on. He saw this and he said, what the heck happened to my Star Trek?
Yeah.
Why is it this cheesy, silly crap? And that's pretty much the way we look at it. So I'm going to just cut to it using our very scientific 1 to 10 scale. Mike, what are you going to give this cheesy, silly episode?
I like the beginning and I like the end. But the beginning and the end, as much as I liked them, was not peak Trek. So and the middle part is like a 0. It's like as bad as the worst Trek that I've seen. So averaging out, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10.
Wow. That's pretty bad. I'm actually going to give it 1 point higher, a 4 out of 10.
I
like the beginning
4.
part.
4 was my first guess, but go on.
Well, I give it a 4 because it's not terrible. It's pretty bad. I can't deny that. The story, I like the idea of the story, but it's so preposterous, and I can never get that line out of my mind. Brain and brain. What is brain?
Mm-hmm.
It ruins the entire thing. The actress who did it, no offense to her, that was just a terrible line reading
Well,
of
come
that
on,
scene.
no, get out of here. How are you gonna? You give
Ah.
me Meryl Streep. How's she gonna deliver that line better? Please.
Maybe she could, do it with gusto, but it's terrible. I can't fault the direction. I can't fault the sets. I like the idea actually of like the decayed society. I mean, I would have liked it better if it wasn't a split between men and women, but it was just a society that was that would be better.
It had no reason to be decayed.
Thousands of years ago, when a glacial age reoccurred, you see, this underground complex was developed for the women. The men remained above, and a male-female schism took place.
You do not have to have decayed society on top of Spock's missing brain. It distracted from. It had nothing to do with the narrative at all.
No,
It did not
it
serve
was
the
more
narrative.
sex appeal. Yeah, I think it was like a old man's fantasy of the planet of women on the bottom. Woo! I mean, you kind of have that a sort of split in TNG in the episode Angel 1 where it's a matriarchy, but that's not this at all. This is I don't know what the heck this is. This is just like a half-baked idea. So, I'm going to stick with my 4. Mike's giving it a 3. What a way to start season 3, though. I'll tell you that much, right?
Even bad Trek is still good Trek with Captain. Thank you, Captain.
That's quite true. Well, our next episode is called The Enterprise Incident. It's actually one of the best, if not the best episode of season 3.
I can't wait.
It's coming up next on our next episode of Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit that bell notification. And if you want to contact us, don't forget to email us at yellingatgas@gmail.com. And again, stop by our store and buy some merch. We're going to be coming up with this. Our live shows will be coming up, talking tricorders, all this stuff.
Eventually.
As long as one of us doesn't get sick.
Oh, boy.
But,
Coxsackie.
Yeah. You again. You didn't say we're back, baby, this time. So it's not an official episode, Mike.
Considering the Coxsackie, this is a pretty good fast turnaround.
Yeah, pretty good, and it's always a good time to record with you, Mike, and have a good time and watch this episodes like this. And I can only say that the Enterprise Incident, which is next, is substantially better. So that's basically it. Mike, anything else you want to add?
Nope. As always, I love hanging out with Captain. Love talking Trek. Even when it's bad, it's good. Just like lovemaking. Right, Captain? And
oh, yeah.
Pain
and pleasure. Pain and pleasure, yes.
But, Captain, thank you again for guiding me through the Star Trek galaxy. And until we meet again, in court tomorrow.
Yep. In court tomorrow. Can't wait. Again, everyone, live long and prosper, and we'll see you out there.
I shouldn't have done it.
What's that?
I should have never reconnected his mouth.
Well, we took the risk, Doctor.
Brain and brain, what is brain?